Welcome back, Officers of the Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS, and I've heard a lot of people trash-talking the TIE Interceptor for some reason, and I want to put that all to bed and reassure you guys with gameplay and with facts and logic that it is an amazing ship and why I'm super happy that I'm going to have it by the end of this conquest. Not red crating, barely over 4 mil. We're just going to barely squeak it out at 5 stars, but it's going to be a massive, massive, massive free-to-play improvement to my roster, especially in an era in matchmaking where you're fighting opponents who are just so much bigger in terms of GP and ships and characters and all that stuff than you are. This is going to be a ship that you must have. Absolutely must. This is a must ship. I get that the new First Order ship is at R7's beating Executors. If they don't nerf that, that's massive for free-to-play, but what we do know is they haven't talked about nerfing this ship, and it might even still be broken, so it will be getting better with time. And when we know that's getting better and it's already amazing, that excites me. So we'll show you gameplay in a little bit, but I want to explain why this ship is so good. So the Empire fleet is not an amazing fleet. A lot of the pieces get used all over the place, but if we combine them together under the Chimera lead, we have a fantastic fleet. Now the core of this is going to revolve around the Chimera, the First Order, or the TIE Advanced, and the TIE Interceptor. So we all know that Chimera is not super used, but when Chimera pops ult, instant kill plus a full heal, health and protection. You can go around taunt, you can just kill whoever you want. So it does take a while to get there though, which is the problem, which is why this fleet hasn't been good. And a lot of people will say the Executor won't ever work against this because the Executor will kill you too quickly, and we're going to prove you wrong in this video how this is going to counter Executors. So, First Order TIE Advanced, or TIE Advanced, not First Order. I don't know why I said First Order. We all know that they got the new buff. He reduces cooldowns. A lot of you guys saying APGAINS. We all know this, and we don't believe you. Well, let me convince you. All right. So, at the start of the battle, if all allies are Empire Inquisitorious or Sith, the Interceptor is in the reinforcements. Allied Empire ships cooldowns are reduced by 1, including call reinforcement. So, why is this important? As you guys know, it gives you a turn 1 reinforcement with the Chimera and a turn 3 annihilate. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't think that they're going to be surviving long enough to counter the Executor with this annihilate. Here's where you're wrong. For most players, they're not going to be countering Executors because most players don't play at the level where Executors exist. So for most players, this is going to be used against Negotiator. And a lot of people don't have Negotiator. They're not in a great guild. They're in a guild with their friends, so they don't progress as far. And they need a way to punch up against these people who have massive ships. And this is not going to be a huge investment. So for most players, this is going to be a situation where they can use little resources to counter much higher. Obviously, when you use less to counter more, free-to-play friendly, we love that. But here's where it comes in. The TIE Interceptor is great. When we crit, if we go over here, so when people crit, or when the TIE Interceptor crits, we're giving turn meter to Thrawn's ship, which is going to be massive because we're going to need to get that third turn as fast as humanly possible. Well, Thrawn gives a bunch of critical damage plus critical chance, so we're going to be critting a lot. Also, we're removing buffs and applying buff immunity. So if we're going against Negotiator and they use a Houndstooth lineup, we can get around that, go after Anakin, kill Anakin. I'll show you in the gameplay in just a second. If we're going against whatever ship may be, we're going to be able to get around those taunts and get after that. Also, how are we going to survive against Executors? Because everyone knows Executors do a lot of damage, and we need to survive to that third turn to take out Houndstooth. For me, this is how I'm going to set up my 2-shot against Executor. As a free-to-play player, 2-shotting Executor against Whales is going to be massive for my ability to win Grand Arenas. How am I going to set that up? Well, we have a bomber. They can go around the taunt because it is pilotless, but, we have a buff dispel and some, and it's an option to go against. It'll survive a little bit. The TIE Fighter loves to give itself, what is it called? Foresight. Takes a little bit longer. TIE Interceptor gives itself Foresight, also passes out Foresight, allowing people to survive a little bit longer. Chimera, we have a 50% heal that we can use on turn 2 to survive long enough to get to turn 3. 50% heal, and gives Foresight for support, so all of our support Empire fleets, if we go over here. Can we just filter by support to make this easier? Where are Empire support fleets? Let's say we have the TIE Reaper, the TIE Shuttle, which could be in the Gauntlet. And these are ships that we are going to be calling in because, as we explain here, most players are not going to have a maxed out TIE Interceptor. I know I'm not. I know I'm not going to have a second sister maxed out. You might be saying APGAINS. If we can't even use the ship, Why is this what's changing the meta? And it's not because we're reinforcing this ship. Arnold might reinforce this ship. We'll show you some of his gameplay that he gave us. Other people at the higher levels might be reinforcing the ship, but we don't even need to call it in. We can have a level 1, gear 1, second sister with a 5-star level 1 TIE Interceptor just chilling in the reinforcements. We still get all the perks. If we get our Gauntlet Starfighter, and that's a support, that's some foresight. That's a cleanse plus protection up, plus a buff immunity. You see how all of this is like perfectly working together to once the reinforcement for TIE Interceptor isn't broken, at the high end, you're going to be going against Executors and probably one-shotting them. At the lower end, you're setting up a one-shot with a viable chance, or setting up a two-shot with a viable chance to one-shot, depending on how good your fleet is. So let's go into the B-roll footage. This was sent over by the Grand Admiral himself. Thank you, Arnold, for the footage. So this is him demonstrating how the reinforcement is broken. He's going against the Executor. Now, this is in Squad Arena. You guys probably all saw this at the end of his stream where he did a video explaining how it's broken. So theoretically, the buff should be removed, and there should be ability block on everyone, but it's not working for some reason. Maybe that's intentional to prevent this from being too overpowered against the Executor, but whatever the case is, it didn't work. Oh well. If they fix that, it's fine. This was also Fleet Arena. We go in against a classic. This is pretty much what you're going to see on GAC defenses most of the time. Early reinforcement. When it does work, boom. We have all the buff immunity. This is going to be great against Negotiator for a lot of you early game free-to-play people who Negotiator is your Executor. That's the ship that you can't beat because now they're not getting the whatever buff it is, the little buff that like grants turn meter to Negotiator. Now we're stopping all of that turn meter gain as well as other buffs that could help make them do more damage, evade, do all this other stuff. So we're going to be able to dominate in that sense. If we move on a little bit after he quickly takes out this and we go in, this was today. This was in his GAC. This was proof. This was not a great fleet, but as you can see, even in GAC, it's not glitched. We can still get the reinforcement ability. But if we watch him do this battle, he's going in. I probably wouldn't have called in against this certain lineup, the Interceptor first, but it does grant some foresight and do some other things, so it's fine. So we're going against Negotiator. Negotiator is still probably, assuming that the nerf comes in for First Order, the second best ship. And you see here, how are they going to survive against the Executor? I mean, the Executor does some good damage. Once he gets his turn here in just a second, we have a turn 1 reinforcement, a turn 2 heal, which is also going to help us out with some foresight and other things to help a little bit of survivability. As you can see, the Negotiator is faster because he probably has an R9 Kenobi or something like that. So boom, heal, everyone's healed up, and we can survive a little bit longer. Now imagine, this is probably not going to one-shot full R9 Executors unless you have a full R9 yourself. You got the speed, you got the good RNG and all that stuff, simply because of how Executor works against the TIE Bomber. But 99.99999% of players don't exist in the space where they have to worry about going against maxed out Executors. So we have a turn 1 reinforcement, which is going to give us more opportunities to the Executor or whatever the ship that you can't beat that you're using with low gear Empire. More opportunities for them to pass the damage around and keep your ships alive. We are passing foresight. We are getting foresight on TIE plus the Interceptor, so that's good. The Empire does good damage. The Gauntlet has a cleanse plus a heal plus a buff immunity. And once turn 3 comes around, so as you see here, this is not an optimal lineup that he went against. But once turn 3, this is turn 3. And if you get your Thrawn fast, high relic, a lot of people do have a very fast Thrawn, very highly relic Thrawn. That's a turn 3 heal on whoever you want and kill whoever you want with proven good banners in GAC. Now, is that the optimal lineup? Of course not. Is that going to work against the optimal lineup? Yes, we saw it in Fleet Arena, and probably, arguably, with a stronger fleet than you're going to see in GAC and with better banners than he probably got here. So, at the end of the day, why are people saying it's bad? Because they have limited knowledge, or maybe they haven't looked at the kits, or maybe they just don't have the imagination, the theory crafting to figure out how to punch up against the people who spend more money. But all I do is figure out ways to screw over the people with higher GP, more relics, more ships, more money spent with less. That's the whole mantra of the APGAINS approved farming strategy. It's why we've been so unbelievably dominant. Up 1 million GP, up 2 million GP, up 3 million, up even 4 million GP wins against these people, because we prepare all of the things that we can do to maximize our free-to-play viability against the whales. This is one of those options. This is a silver platter handed before you by Capital Games. Make sure you take advantage of it. Even if you're in normal conquest, a lot of people are going to say, I'm not in hard conquest, I'm not going to give this ship 5 stars. I got the Razor Crest 5 stars when it came out. Normal conquest plus the Galactic Chase, you will be able to get this. You don't need to put any resources into Second Sister. You don't need to put any resources into the ship. Make sure you unlock it at 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.